the RUMERTIME process, and I came across this quote: behind every behavior is a belief.
Whatever setting you go to, whether you're at church, whether you're at school, whether you may be having
I was able to analyze a little bit more.
Bringing about real positive
in order
changes.
For me to be effective, I have to be reflective. And this training...
I gather an appreciation for reflecting. And I
take it from just something that's inside to getting it in a tangible form, getting it out from...
fulfilling and rewarding to see the kids who coming and they sincerely growth in them. They became more reflective in their thinking, to see children grow and not just see but to be a part of it.
What I have learned in camp about RUMERTIME is that it's a process for solving problems we face in our lives.
A lot of my stress, and then I begin to enjoy and spend time on the things that really make me happy.
I recommend this training to all age, from kindergarten.
Before you do that thing that you'll regret, or say that thing.
If you breathe and think, you should have this training. I would recommend this to everyone.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to the Access RUMERTIME Conversations. We are so excited to be here today. Today is World Mental Health Day 2023. October 10 is usually the World Mental Health Day, where we shine a light, even brighter light, on the struggles that the struggles that people all across the globe are experiencing mentally. And so we are going to have an exciting conversation today. And the reason I know we're going to have a really exciting conversation today is because the amount of trouble we had getting to this point, there has to be a reason why we were having such difficulties. And so it only is because somebody's mind is going to be renewed, somebody's life is going to be transformed, and communities across the globe will be made safer. And so I'm Dr. Laria. The rest of the team is going to introduce themselves.
Hey, everyone, and happy, or maybe not happy, but hey, welcome, grace and peace to you on this World Mental Health Day. I am Dr. Geneva Fleming, and I bring you greetings from South Carolina.
Awesome.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Vanessa Kelly Brew. And Geneva, what I will say is Mental Health World Day. So I am coming to you from Elkhart, Indiana, the city with a heart. And again, we say greetings.
And we have as our special guest this afternoon, Miss Cassie. Cassie, would you please introduce yourself?
My name is Cassie Stewart, and I am from Elkhart, Indiana.
Awesome, awesome. And Cassie's going to share with us today her story. But you guys know the drill. We go through, we do our PowerPoint, where we do our education segment of the RUMERTIME process. So let me get to sharing my screen here. Give me 1 second as I try to figure out how to do this. I'm using a different computer. And like I said, it was a challenge getting on here this morning. But it's not letting me. I can't find my screen. Okay.
So while you're doing that, Dr. Laria, I will just say again, welcome to everyone. I see Lois Lynn has joined us. Welcome, Lois Lynn. It's always a pleasure to see you and have you join. Diane James saying hello from South Carolina. So hello to you, Diane. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And I have someone from the Caribbean. He just says, I am here. So thank you. We welcome you as well. And so we are hoping that with our discussion today, that as Dr. Larrier said, we can renew the minds and hearts of those who are joining us today so that it will spread to everyone that you know. So again, we say thank you. Someone by the name of Bear is
Yeah,
also.
I think that might be my chair bear, joining in from Charlotte, North Carolina.
All right.
So thank you for being here.
All right, Catherine, hello to you. Catherine from Trinidad. So Catherine is also part of GC Scored, and so we say thank you for joining us this morning, Catherine.
Yes.
So we can just, let's just roll. We can just roll through if you can't find your PowerPoints.
I found it, but I am not able to share my screen. So I will just talk. I will just talk about what it is. So Geneva, we usually have Geneva tell us about the mission of GC Score.
Yeah, so we are GC Scored, which is the Global Center for Systemic Change, Outcome Research, Evaluation, and Development. And here is where our aim is to renew minds, transform lives, and create safer communities.
Wonderful. And then we talk about social emotional health and wellness. And what is that? That is our destigmatized, demystified definition of mental health. So whereas mental health, as we know it, is defined by the World Health Organization and many other organizations across the globe, GC Scored has taken it upon themselves to redefine mental health from a social emotional wellness perspective. And so our definition is it is a person's ability to recognize, understand, manage, express, and reflect on their thoughts, their interactions, mindsets, and emotions as it relates to self, others, and situations. As you and I effectively utilize these skills, we become equipped and empowered to successfully navigate daily activities such as loving, learning, earning, relationship building, problem solving, and adapting to the demands of growth and development. So that is the GC Scored's definition of mental health. We define it from a social, emotional health and wellness perspective. And so what is the RUMERTIME? You hear us talking about the RUMERTIME. RUMERTIME is an acronym. And it stands for recognize, understand, manage, express, and reflect thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions. It is what we call a cyclical or cycle, the cycle of neurocognition. We do this over and over and over. So we recognize our thoughts, our interactions, our mindsets, and emotions. Then we understand them. We dig deeper. Then we find ways to manage those thoughts, interactions, mindsets, and emotions. And we do this over and over and over. And the definition of the RUMERTIME process is that it is a 5-step, culturally responsive, social emotional problem solving strategy that helps individuals move from a position of intra and interpersonal imbalance to a position of intra and interpersonal balance, and from unconscious living to conscious living. So this is the context in which we are talking, and we always talk. This is what GC Scored stands for. This is what we believe. And so we have with us Cassie. And I just want to recognize Dr. Clarence Green. He is from Trinidad, and he is actually streaming our program today on 21 radio stations across the globe. And yes, and so we are really grateful for his collaboration. And just to give you a little background on his organization is Bijou, Bijou. It is a 43-year-old business in Trinidad and Tobago, and they provide online radio and television platform presence for local and international organizations. They partner with international organizations needing technical marketing assistance, and they give opportunities through their systems to create again an international platform so that messages like ours can reach individuals everywhere, so that people's lives again can be transformed. And so we want to thank Dr. Clarence Green from the Caribbean, Afridu Caribbean, USA, Canada region, and all the others, Catherine, everyone else, to engage with us today. So, Cassie, tell us, how did you first get involved with the RUMERTIME process?
I was first introduced from my apostle. So I was her volunteer through a program where she works. And she said, we have a program that I was blessed with, and my coaches need to be healed so that they can help people to heal. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, didn't really know what I was getting myself in for, but I thought, okay, it's a class. We'll take it. and it was so much more. Mm-hmm. And so several of us took the class, and it just wowed your mind.
Okay. So I'm going to ask some more questions. So tell us, what stood out for you in that class? What stood out for you? And the class is the social emotional first aid, right? Social emotional first aid.
I would say the one thing that has really impacted my life on the mental health perspective is with my anxiety. So I remember you saying in class one night that everything comes from a thought. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I went to bed that night and I kept thinking, if everything comes from a thought, then my anxiety is coming from a thought. Mm. And if my anxiety is just coming from a thought, then I should be able to control this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And at that point, we hadn't dug into the program very far. It was one of the beginning sessions. Mm-hmm. And so I kept thinking, there's got to be more to this. If I can just control some of my thoughts, then I should be able to control my level of anxiety. Mm. And I didn't know that we were going to work farther into that at that time. But that just made that light bulb go off because nobody had explained anxiety like that. Mm. And so that was the first step, I think, that opened that door before we really dug into the RUMERTIME process. Mm-hmm. Because if somebody would have explained that your anxiety plays off of your thoughts, and if you can just control your thoughts and pull those down, then it wouldn't go from maybe right here to 1,000 and then your medication, right? Right. And so I think that was the biggest thing at the very beginning of the program that really stood out for me.
Awesome. Geneva, we in our pre-planning, Cassie said some amazing things.
She said a lot of amazing things. And actually, there was one question I had, but before I ask that question, which really has to do with parenting and how the RUMERTIME process has impacted that for you, that light bulb, I want to just kind of stick there for a little while longer about what was it that made that light bulb come on for you? Because during our pre-session, I believe you did share, you have had some interactions with getting help, getting mental health help. Can you share more about that? Because you got some information through one avenue, but then when you were introduced to this, a light bulb came on. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I have been in therapy. I have been admitted into the hospital for 10 days for trying to hurt myself. I have seen a psychologist. I've seen everybody you can think of, basically, to try to get help. And they would either send me to a new therapist or a different kind of therapist, or they would give me medication. And it would be one medication on top of another, on top of another. And so I had shared in the class that I was taking 13 medications in the morning and 16 medications at night. And then throughout the day, I would take several other medications to control the anxiety throughout the day. Okay. And so I don't take any of those today.
Oh, absolutely. You know, one of the things I want to emphasize here. Go ahead, Dr. Larry. I see you jumping in.
So Cassie, you said you don't take any today. Would you attribute that phenomenal transformation? Is there anything that the RUMERTIME, I don't want to give you words, I want this to be from you. Would you say that going through the SEFA program and the RUMERTIME process, would you say that had any impact on this new position that you're in?
Absolutely, because the last thing that I was having trouble laying down was the anxiety medication. Throughout the day, it was God had asked me to lay the other medications down, but I still was having to take the anxiety medication throughout the day to be able to keep myself at a level that I could function. And once I started using the RUMERTIME process and could truly go through the process of my thoughts and the situations that was at hand, whether it be a small situation or a big situation, because sometimes our thoughts make us think that it's a situation. Because, or at least for me, like with my anxiety, I felt like some things were a situation. And so it would make the anxiety arise. And then I would feel like I had like an elephant sitting right here. And then it would get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I would take medication to push it down.
Yeah.
But it would just suppress it for just a little bit, but then it was still there. The situation and the problem was still there. So now that I'm able to use the process and work through the emotions and the thoughts, then it goes away and the anxiety doesn't come up.
That is
and I can pull those and cast those down along with praying, because God is the number one person in my life. But I do believe that He allows you to come in contact with people and situations that can help you grow. And I believe that's what this program was. It was something that was put in my path to be able to help me to grow in the process that I needed to grow.
Thank you. That is, you said so eloquently. Vanessa, I see your fingers, but if I could just interject right here, so that our listening audience could understand. We've heard several times that, Cassie made reference to her higher power, God, whom she relies on. And this RUMERTIME process framework, we use what we refer to as a triadic balance. We recognize the necessity of triadic balance, and that balance is mind, body, and spirit. And so if any one of those pieces are out of order, we are out of balance, essentially. And so what I also heard Cassie share was the medication, and the medication is focusing on only one piece. So naturally you continue to be out of balance. So there's that need to bring things into balance. The medication can't do what spirit and mind can do. And so we'll talk a little bit more about how RUMERTIME perhaps have impacted your mind, your thinking, and how you're thinking about things, and how that has related with you spiritually, and then it's coming out, it's manifesting physically. So anyways, Vanessa, I want to recognize your hand, and because I have a ton of other questions.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So thank you, Dr. G. So what I wanted to really highlight about what you just shared, Cassie, is the fact that you were able to slow yourself down to think about whatever the issues were that were causing this stress to you. And typically what happens with people is when they are feeling this anxiety, they know they just have the feeling. They don't understand exactly what you said, that the thoughts are causing the feelings that they have. And sometimes it just happens like this. But the fact that you are able to slow yourself down enough to think through, process what was going on in your mind that was causing this feeling of anxiety, then you were able to work through that by understanding and then managing that anxiety.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And so, just to give our listeners a sneak peek, what Cassie is talking about in our program, we educate about that behind every behavior is a belief. We talk about each of us having over 6,000 thoughts per day, over 6,000 thoughts per day, 80% of which are negative. And that is what Cassie is referring to that we cover that type of information at the beginning. What it does is exactly what happened with Cassie. It empowers. Cassie was empowered. And so, Cassie, tell us a little bit more about this course that you took and how that empowerment went into various areas of your life. How did it show up in various areas of your life, in addition to being able to come off the medications?
So I think one thing for me is that it's made me happier because you don't have that elephant sitting there anymore, right?
Right.
And so then that begins to start dealing with the depression because along with the anxiety, I had depression, right? Okay, so that helps, that it started helping there. And then another area is, we talked about prior that I'm very shy.
Yes.
And so I'm trying to be more open. Because before I would be worried about what people thought about me. Because those thoughts, because you just talked about how many thoughts we have every day.
Yes.
Those thoughts would then run rampant
in your mind.
Yeah. And so sometimes it would hold me back. And so I don't let those just run anymore.
Awesome.
And so more open and not so much worrying about what people
think
or how they see me. I'm trying to be more happier in myself, because and confident in myself. On my like myself personal level. And then with my children, I have begun to use the process with my children. So I have a neurotypical child that is 11, and we have started the program with her. And then I have a 13-year-old that is autistic, and we also use the program with her.
Awesome. So let me just recap. And Geneva, now is the time for you to ask that question about.
Yeah, did you want to recap, or I can?
Yeah, let me just do a quick recap. So what I hear you saying, Cassie, is that once you were introduced to the RUMERTIME process, which you practice on a daily basis, it has helped you to become more conscious about what you're thinking, and it has helped you to understand that your thoughts are connected to your interactions and connected to your beliefs, which are your mindsets, and connected to your emotions, which are some of them were anxiety and depression. With that knowledge and understanding, you are able now to manage how you show up. You're able to express how you feel. You're able to take risk, come out of your shell. Just by you being here today is if you never said another word, by you being here today is a testament to the practice of the RUMERTIME process on a daily basis. That is what we aim to do, and that is what we are. That's why we have this program. That's why we have our conversation, because we want everyone to feel the way you're feeling. Happy, like the elephant is off of your chest. The ability to push it down. Not that it won't come, but you now have an understanding and the ways to manage it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I felt myself I felt lighter just listening to you share your story. I can only imagine what the weight of an elephant is like on your chest. So with the elephant being removed, you could breathe. It also slows you down enough. I mean, you can relax, so you can see and think more clearly, about who you are, where you are. And you're right. It's like shyness has taken a back seat, because here you are, you're on a global network today. Here you are sharing your story. So shyness has taken a back seat. So thank you so much for sharing that. Now I'm going to dive in a little bit more about you and your relationship with your daughter. During our pre-session, you shared about how things were. Maybe there was a bit of tension, prior to you learning about this RUMERTIME process. But then after the RUMERTIME process, and you're starting to use it on a daily basis, you're noticing some changes. You stated that you're using it with your children now, but can you be a little bit more specific and share more information about what's happening with the fact that you recognize the transformation in yourself, and because it's working for you, you're now utilizing it with your daughter? How was things prior, and how are things now, and the reason for it?
So I will say, with my 13-year-old that is autistic, one of the biggest things with her prior was she had anxiety as well, but she couldn't, even to me as her mother, express it. She would say, I would say, what are you feeling? Like, what is making you upset? And she would say, I can't, or she would just cry, or she would melt down on the floor. We had so much behavioral issues, I guess is what you could call it. And they would tell me, the therapist, we're going back to the doctors again, right? Well, she's on medication. We can give you a different therapist. We can give you another behavioral therapist. And I'm like, no, or they would tell you, just breathe through it. Just breathe through it. But it's not doing anything. Breathing through the situation is just temporary. That's all it is. That's all it is. They taught me the same thing through the anxiety. Breathing through the anxiety is only temporary. It's not fixing it. It's not making those thoughts go away. And for her, it's the same thing. It's not making those thoughts go away. It's not helping her to learn how to deal with it.
The elephant is still in the room.
And so when I started seeing that it was working on me, and, because I used to just have her breathe through it as well, because I thought that's what,
that's all you knew. That's all you knew. Exactly.
And now we do, like, if she's really too far We'll breathe. Okay. And now let's step back. What in this situation is going on? What, depending what it is, what in the room is making you nervous? What in the room is making you stimulated? She has sensory issues as well. So what in this situation is making you overwhelmed? And if she still can't answer me, sometimes, because she can speak, but in that moment, she's not as verbal. So sometimes I'll start naming things off until she'll give me something. And so sometimes we use the process a little differently with her, but it's still the process to try to get her through it. And she's been able to work through those moments instead of just letting them bottle up. Because she used to be like a can of soda that you shook. And then once they come out, it would just poof, like a bomb. And so, and I've even seen the difference, like she'll come home from school and she's not that can of soda. She used to come home from school like that. And so now we can have a conversation. She might be a little tense when she comes home, but we can have that conversation. Let's talk through it.
Right.
And we do the same thing with my 11-year-old. Because kids are just mean. They're just gonna be honest.
Yes, be honest.
So we talk about, how she feels. We talk about how her feelings are and the things that are going on in her head. And so with her, I've been teaching her how to use the process herself. And she did say the other day, Mom, this really helps. She said, because sometimes I have a lot going on in there and I don't want to tell somebody. So even children have things that they don't want to share with anybody, but they don't know how to deal with it.
Right. Wow.
This is real good. And maybe after Vanessa acknowledges what's in the chat, we'll talk some about roots and fruits, because that's one of the things that came to my mind as I heard you share, focusing on the fruit rather than the root. But go ahead, Vanessa.
Yeah. Sure. So we have a lot of interaction from our listening audience. And so, Cassie, a lot of them are saying they are just really surprised that you have gone from using
13.
Sounds like over 30 different medications
Total.
to not using any medication at all through just using this RUMERTIME process. And so they are saying congratulations to you. They praise God. Lois Lynn also says RUMERTIME helps you to dig deeper as you go through the steps while giving you the tools to cope with the situation you are experiencing. I can testify to this. And she's saying thank you to you for sharing your story, Cassie. They also are just saying how happy they are for you, knowing how this RUMERTIME process has helped you. And now you are sharing how it is also helping your autistic daughter. Yes. And that is one of the things that I also wanted to highlight is about the flexibility of this program. So this program is for anyone and everyone who is dealing with any situation at any time, anywhere in their life. And so you just gave an example of how it not only help you to deal with your anxiety and your depression, but now how it is also helping your daughter be able to express and manage her own anxieties or feelings of frustration. So thank you again, Cassie, for sharing your story. And one of the other questions that I have, since you've talked about how this process has helped you with your daughter, I'm wondering, just in terms of your other interactions. So I am wondering for you about other relationships in your life. And so what we know is that the first and most important relationship that anyone has is the relationship that they have with themselves. And so I am wondering for you how you have seen that relationship change. your relationship to yourself?
I would say it's changed for the better. Like I talked about earlier, the confidence level, the being able to be more open with people, just to be a little bit transparent. Like one thing for me in my life up until a few years ago was I told no one in my life that I loved them but my children. Because I had been so hurt. And so the other thing that the process has helped me to do is to learn to work through the process of forgiving people. Because again, this process can be used for so many different things.
Everything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Like forgiveness is when we don't forgive people, we also hold another boulder on ourselves.
Yes.
And so I didn't just get anxiety and depression overnight and then just wake up with it.
Right.
You know, things in my life had built up to where that's where I had gotten. And so in that process, I had lost my grandmother that I was her caregiver. And I, in that process, had to close the doors to my family. And I went through an abusive relationship and ended up in the homeless shelter. And just, it was like a spiral, like a downward spiral.
Right.
And it was like I was at a hole, at the bottom of a hole that I couldn't find my way out of. And so then the depression and the anxiety began to take a toll on even my physical body.
Yeah.
My right arm would profusely just shake. I couldn't even write anymore because the nerves just had damage. And I was having seizures again from the stress. And I have none of that today. My driver's license back. No more nightmares. Like when I say nightmares were bad, like I was hurting myself in my sleep. Those were so bad. And so every time I would go to the doctor and I would say, there's this, or I would say there's the nightmares, they would just hand me another pill.
Right.
And it didn't take care of it. We talked earlier about, I felt like they just kept putting Band-Aids on me.
Right.
Here's another pill. That's a Band-Aid. Here's another pill. That's another Band-Aid. No, I wanted somebody to help me fix myself. Not put a Band-Aid and a temporary fix on me. I wanted to be better because I wanted to be the mother that I was before. I wanted to be a better mother on top of that.
Right.
But I just didn't want to be a mother that lived day to day on prescription drugs.
Right. Wow.
Absolutely. You know, we live in a society that that's the response, right? Yes. The Band-Aid approach is the response. And that's why we need a different response, a culturally relevant, relatable response. And that's one of the things the RUMERTIME process does. It's a very natural thing. If you're bleeding, if you got a cut and you're bleeding, put a Band-Aid on it. You know, but there's never a thought to, okay, what caused that bleeding? You know, what else is going on there? And so in the RUMERTIME process, that bleeding is what we refer to as fruit. And much of what you shared today in terms of those things that cause you to seek medical help, we refer to that as fruit. Those behaviors, those symptoms, we refer to those as fruit. And so the natural response is to put a Band-Aid on it, right? Let's stop the bleeding. You know, but with the RUMERTIME process, Loislin said it very well in her chat, we go deeper. She says RUMERTIME helps you to dig deeper as you go through the steps. And those steps takes us down to the root of the matter. What's the root that's causing the manifestation of this fruit? And so I wanted to make that clear about roots, about fruits and roots being root causes. And oftentimes systems and all systems, even within the family, tend to focus on the fruit without consideration of the root. And that root process really goes deeper and helps us to get back to what are we thinking about? What's on our mind? Because that's where the change really needs to start taking place. What do we believe? What are we believing? And we will behave according, as Dr. Larry has said, behind every behavior is a belief. So what are we believing? What are we thinking right now?
Yeah. And thank you, Geneva. And so Cassie also said, Cassie, this is just powerful stuff. And again, this is the reason why we were having so much trouble getting on today, because somebody is going to be set free, and you know, the enemy did not want this happening.
Absolutely.
But so you also said in our pre-conversation that you were given medications, you were given breathing exercises, but you never really felt equipped or even understood. You didn't have the tools when you got home. And Loisland said it here. RUMERTIME helps you to dig deeper as you go through the steps, while giving you the tools to cope with the situation you are experiencing, which means in real time, you are given the tools to problem solve. Could you speak to that from your experience, Cassie?
So to start, yes, they would give me medication or breathe or go home and write. Okay, I'm writing it down, but what is that supposed to do for me?
Right.
Because I'm getting it out, but I'm getting it on a piece of paper, but that wasn't still doing it for me. It wasn't helping, at least for me, it wasn't helping me. I remember when I went to the hospital, they literally basically gave me medication. And we had some little workshops in there that was supposed to, I guess, have taught us something, but it didn't. It really didn't. It really, I mean, honestly, it didn't. And even, I feel like even when you go and you see your therapist and you have a conversation with her, they just kind of nod or agree. They might suggest a little something here or there, but they don't help you work through how to deal with those thoughts and the hurt that comes along with things. So that's all still there, right? Even though I've talked to you about it, it's still there. And with the RUMERTIME process, you can deal with the feelings, you can deal with the thoughts, you can deal how you were feeling in that moment, whether it was 10 years ago or 10 minutes ago.
Right.
Because through the program, you made us go through and go back. Like, yes. We had to go back.
You had to.
Some of those weeks were a little challenging, but it made me stronger because, like she was talking about the roots, you have to sometimes go back and find the root of a situation because the current situation could be from a root that doesn't even look like it.
Exactly. Well said.
And so that's the other thing with the process. And I'm going to bring God into this because God will bring things up sometimes in another situation to bring a root of something that doesn't look like it up that needs to be. And so through everything and through the process, I have been able to deal with childhood trauma with the process that I still have not dealt with. And I have seen a therapist for every week for 5 years. They still can't help me. So if I can deal with it with myself now, why do I need to pay you when you're not helping me?
Right.
I understand it helps some people. It does.
Right.
But the thing is, if we would equip people.
Right.
The thing is, if I would have been equipped coming out of the hospital or equipped coming out of therapy, I probably would have never tried to committed suicide 7 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just being real about the whole situation.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because they just kept giving me one pill after another.
Mm-hmm.
One pill after another. Oh, well, you're suicidal. Here's another pill. No.
Right.
Exactly.
It's not the situation. And so I have not had any of those. Nothing. That doesn't. I go to bed at peace and I wake up at peace. We go, if any negative comes across my brain, I pull it down right now. We're not even entertain it today.
Right.
The program has taught me that we don't entertain the negative.
Yes.
We don't ever think that anymore either. And so if you don't entertain it, then you don't have to then go and heal from it.
Right. Yeah. Awesome.
That is so
awesome.
empowering. So
Vanessa, what do you want to say?
I just want to jump in and read a couple more comments based on what you just shared, Cassie. And so Missy is saying, oh, wow, it could be a root that does not look like it. And so for her, that was what we call
a light bulb.
A
snap.
A tweetable moment. A tweetable moment. Yes.
And then Lois Lynn said, absolutely, you cannot heal until and unless you remove the masks. So thank you for sharing that, Cassie.
Awesome. So Cassie, and I want people to understand, this is Cassie's story. So I don't want people to leave here today saying, oh, GC Scored is bashing the mental health or the medical model, or GC Scored is bashing anybody. We're not bashing anybody. Cassie is here. We are here to support Cassie in her experience, her journey of mental health and wellness, and how the RUMERTIME process played a pivotal, profound role in her transformation. And she is sharing her experiences. So don't be judging nobody, okay? That's all I got to say. It's her story, and she can tell it boldly and proudly.
Yeah. And it's just so empowering. And we want our listening audience to know, the goal of the RUMERTIME process ultimately is to help people become their own conscious problem solver and your own life coach. So that's not taking away anything from any other system that's out there. We're talking about what we do within our Global Center of Systemic Change, Outcome Research, Development,
Absolutely.
Which is to educate, equip, and empower individuals to become their own life coaches. And what you just shared is just so empowering because it's transformative. It's life-changing.
It is.
And
it is.
So
and to hear, exactly. And to hear what you said about being able to incorporate what you have learned immediately, right now, and it was taught to you in such a way that you didn't have to go and get dictionaries to figure out, well, what does this word mean? You don't have to have a college degree or a PhD to use this process. It was relevant, responsive, and relatable, applicable, practical. All of those words is what I got from what you shared about your experience.
Another some words I want to put out there too, Dr. Laria, is destigmatizing what that process, and demystifying and destigmatizing because of the language. We're very intentional about the language we use, which supports what Dr. Larry just said. So our aim is to remove the stigma when we're talking about our mental health. When you mention the word mental, almost in any environment, people's thinking starts going to the left. So, but when we talk about social emotional wellness. Same thing. This is so much more palatable to focus on social emotional wellness than to say mental for some reason in our psyche. So what I'm hearing you say again is just so empowering, how that process, when you first started talking, you said you didn't know what to expect when you agreed to attend the class and attend the training. You didn't know what to expect, but then you quickly learned that it wasn't an ordinary training. It wasn't an ordinary class. So what made it not ordinary in your words?
I think not just the interaction, but it was there. You were actually there for you to learn the process, but it was to work for you. Not, most of the time when you go to a class, you're there to learn. You're learning there to learn the text, right? Basically. But that's not how this was. Like, I figured that's what we were going to learn. Like when she said we had to take a class, and I remember leaving that very first class that evening, and I kept going, what did I get myself into? She said we're digging deep in ourselves. I don't know that I can do that. You've already been going through, a lot. Like, I don't know about this. But then as we kept digging deeper, it's like, no, I'm healing. I'm making strides forward.
Yeah.
And one of the things that she said in one of the other classes was that no feeling, I'm probably going to not say it right, but no feeling is like disannounced. Like, every feeling is a feeling. Like, it's there.
It's there.
If it's
Right.
there, it's there.
Yeah.
And so it's important to bring it up, because sometimes, like, when I would talk to my therapist, they would make you feel like that thought or that feeling was inadequate. Like, you shouldn't have had it, or it wasn't important. But if it is important, you need to deal with it.
Absolutely.
Because it's there for a reason.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't ignore the feeling.
And one of the things I think we talk about in our program is that feelings have no intellect. They are directly related to what you're thinking, as well as feelings are messengers. They're indicators. They are not disorders, right? They are not disorders. So when you get a feeling, look at it and say, well, what message is this feeling here to give me?
Yeah.
It's bringing you a message.
Yeah.
It's like, we talk about the feelings are like smoke alarms. When the smoke alarm goes off, you don't get upset and go and bust the smoke alarm, right? When the smoke alarm goes off, you're like, oh my goodness, where is the fire?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Similarly, when you have a feeling, you say, what am I thinking?
Yeah. Where's the fire?
That is what we want our society to start doing. Don't stop and diagnose and label and stigmatize the feeling. The feeling ain't do you nothing.
That's right.
Why are you trying to throw shade on the feeling? Don't be throwing shade on the feeling. The feeling
that's right.
Doing you a favor. The feeling is doing you a favor. It's telling you, hey, what's up? Look at this. I want you to stop. Pause. Pay attention to what you're thinking. That's what we need to do with feelings. Not diagnose them, not medicate them, not shame them, not discount them. No.
Absolutely.
They're indicators.
Absolutely.
Not disorders. Indicators. Not disorders.
Indicators, not disorders.
Yes.
Like like a pain, right? You get a headache or a stomach ache, you don't want to just pop a pill. It would behoove you to find out why that headache is there.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Or you can just become addicted to popping Tylenol all day long.
Yeah.
And it would behoove us to find out, get to the root of the cause of the pain.
Yeah. Cassie, what else do you want to share with the world? And Vanessa, I know Geneva and I have been talking up a storm, but
No, listen. All I was going to say is exactly what Geneva was saying. You can continue to pop pills, which again really equates to what you said earlier, Cassie, and that is putting a Band-Aid on the situation. But you have learned to be your own wellness champion right? And so you learned how to rip that Band-Aid off and really deal with the issues that are coming up for you by using this rumor time process.
Cassie, what do you want to say? What that you believe you didn't get a chance to say?
The one thing that God just keeps telling me to say is that the doctors put a lot of diagnoses on us. I had several. One of them was PTSD. And one of the things was with PTSD is there's little triggers. So you might smell something or see something and it brings something up, right? It kind of goes along with that feeling, right? When you get a feeling.
Yes.
And the more I use the program, the less those triggers come.
Wow.
I don't know the last time I actually had one, to be honest. And so those things that the doctors try to diagnose us with are just something so they can give us more medication. But the other part of that is I talked about how my hand would shake, the seizures. I still struggled with migraines profusely, like several times a week. And my seizures were due to stress. Like the doctor said, like they had done everything. The only thing that we could is my stress levels. And those have demolished very few, very, very few times now. And so if people only understood what their emotions and their feelings combined when they're not taken care of properly, what they can do to their physical body, which then in return makes you go to the doctor, which makes you get medicine. Like it's like snowball.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because I don't think that some people understand what those things can do to your physical body. You know, and so if it gets out of control and then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, then it becomes a bigger and bigger problem.
Right.
But then for you to go backwards and go back, it takes 10 times longer to go back than to that point, right? So I just feel like that if people looked at people with a mental illness, they call it mental health, right? And like you were saying, wish they wouldn't call it that either.
Right.
Because I feel like that's just another label they're sticking to you so that you feel like that you're inadequate. Because when they started sticking those labels to me, I just thought I would have them forever.
Wow.
You know, like they're like, you might as well just go apply for disability. And I'm like, no.
Wow.
Like, you know, and so I wasn't happy with that. And I wasn't going to give up. And I wasn't going to quit praying and asking God to take these things away. And so God will lead you to the people and the places that you need to be able to be healed.
Get the help.
Yes. Yes.
And if anybody has heard anything that I've said today, they can pull on that and know that they have hope. Because I wished I would have heard somebody in that moment to just give me hope. To know that I didn't have to stay in that place, that I didn't have to stay on the medication. That I didn't have to stay there. That this is just how my life is going to be. Because they didn't tell you that. They didn't tell you that there was the road up, right?
Right.
But there is a road up out of mental health.
There is a road
because
up.
it didn't just get like that overnight. It didn't just get like that. You didn't just wake up like that. And I think they just discredit people to the mental health. And that's all. Like well, now you have this. You're depressed. Here's some more medication. That's the way you're going to just always be. No.
Say it again. No.
It makes the environment in the home with my girls so much more peaceful.
Right.
So once we start killing ourselves with the RUMERTIME process, then we can heal the relationships we have with others. You can
Yes.
forgive others. You can make better relationships with the new people that come into your life.
Yeah.
When you have like a new friend coming into your life, then you know how to deal with the situation better.
Yes.
Or if conflict comes up, you can deal with it better.
Wow.
You know, because I was not a conflict person before. I still ain't a conflict person, but I can deal with it better.
Right.
Because I know how to deal with it now.
Awesome.
I think
You have
that's
said a
excellent
mouthful.
No.
And
Excellent
there's
wrap
nothing,
up.
yeah, there's nothing more we can say because it comes directly from someone who has experienced it, who lives it. There's no better messenger, no more credible messenger than someone who has lived it and who is experiencing the transformative power of the RUMERTIME process on a daily basis. And so, Cassie, we just want to thank you. We really want to thank you for embracing, engaging in the process, and allowing it to equip you and empower you as you empower the next generation, your children.
Yes.
You are equipping them with skills. You may not have money, you may not have earthly fame and all of that.
Exactly.
But you equipping your children with the RUMERTIME process and the skills that are included in that, you are giving them a priceless gift. Priceless.
Yes, and if I can just echo some messages in the chat from Catherine Lucis. Thank you, Cassie. You are showing us how practical this process is to be used by anyone and everyone wherever we are or wherever you are. You are a stronger person because of RUMERTIME. And
Yes.
Patricia Lewis, hi, Patricia Lewis from Elkhart, North Carolina. Glad you're able to join in. Patricia Lewis says, what an amazing story. Thank you for the opportunity to listen in. And yes, a priceless gift to your children. Thank you, Patricia.
I think Loislin also said,
yes, about the side effects. Side effects. Loyson said the side effects of those medications did not help you. I thank God you shared this. God bless you.
there's
Yes, yes,
somebody
yes.
else. I
They're
think
still coming
Patricia.
in. Yeah, so Patricia Lewis also said, you are breaking the cycle because you are educating your children. Absolutely. And as the children are educated, they will, those are impartations and gifts that they will take with themselves and give to their children. So on to the next generation.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed and appreciated this conversation today.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your story, Cassie.
Yes. Vanessa, do you have any parting words?
Again, thank you so much, Cassie, for sharing your story with us. And the thing that I would like those who are in our listening audience to know is that this is not something that happens overnight. You have to be willing to do the work to get to this point. It is possible. It is possible to get to this point of freedom, but you have to be willing to do the work in order to get that freedom. So
Yes.
thank you, Cassie.
Yes. All right. Well, this has been as amazing as we expected it to be. And Cassie, nobody would ever believe that you were shy. Nobody. But thanks to God and thanks to the RUMERTIME process.
That's right.
Putting in the work, as Vanessa just said, you putting in the work. And for those who are listening and not viewing, you can find out more information on the work of GC Squad at www.everypeacematters.com. Again, www.everypeacematters.com. Go to our website and you can get more information. You can even sign up to go through the process that Cassie went through the course. We have lots and lots of information on our website. We look forward to engaging with you in the future. And again, our next show is on the 4th Monday of this month. And we will see you all then. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining and spending lunchtime with us.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
I choose to only think of thoughts. I choose to only think right thoughts. I choose to only think right thoughts. Rumor time reflects. When my mind is upset, I can change my mindset. Do not be thrown offset. Rumor time.
The RUMERTIME process, and I came across this quote: behind every behavior is a belief.
Whatever setting you go to, whether you're at church, whether you're at school, whether you may be having
I was
an issue
able
at home.
to analyze a little bit more.
Bringing about real positive
in order for me
changes.
to be effective, I have to be reflective. And this training
I gather an appreciation for reflecting. And I
Take it from just something that's inside to getting it in a tangible form, getting it out from.
Fulfilling and rewarding to see the kids who coming and they sincerely growth in them. They became more reflective in their thinking, to see children grow and not just see but to be a part of it.
What I have learned in camp about rumor time is that it's a process for solving problems we face in our
Reduces a lot
lives.
of my stress, and then I begin to enjoy and spend time on the things that really make me happy.
I recommend this training to all age, from kindergarten.
Before you do that thing that you'll regret, or say that thing.
If you breathe and think, you should have this training. I would recommend this to everyone.